Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome back to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thank you guys for joining us again. This week's episode is titled The Cheat Code to Make Your Clients Happier
And your job easier. Yep.
What is the cheat code, Jared? I cannot wait to find out what the cheat code is.
It is pretty simple, but very, very important.
Up, down, left, right.
It is the importance of setting expectations so that everybody knows what to expect and what's going to go on.
Yep.
I think that 95% of the errors, issues, and things that happen on jobs that cost us money, cost us reputation, cause errors, is a misunderstanding of the expectations of how the renovation or the build or whatever it is going on your customer's job.
Yep. So
setting those expectations is the cheat code to finding happy clients.
And our cheat code that we give every executive partner with us is our client engagement agreement.
You'll hear us reference that.
We've said it
CEA
100 times.
Yeah.
And the reason we reference it so much and the reason that it is our cheat code is because it is the basis of how the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months are going to go during the renovation of your house.
Huge. Yeah.
And so what we're giving you today, if you're not an alliance partner, if you're just listening to this, we are going to walk you through how to create one of these on your own. Now, we're not going to give you all the stuff. If you join as an executive partner, we give you a customized version of this for you,
along with all of our other paperwork.
All the paperwork, subcontractor agreement that matches this, everything else that comes along with what you need as you're growing a company. We give you all that. But if you are looking for the free 99 version, we are going to walk you through today.
Free 99.
How to create your own client engagement, how to do that with a client. So,
and it's different than the thing that's on the bottom of your estimates that's talking about your warranty and 1 year warranty on all labor, blah 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 blah.
It's not just the legal jargon that you have to have of this is binding. That's great. That's needed. That's part of everything that we do. But it is a document that we walk through with every single client, and we try to get them in the office as quickly as possible.
Or in their home, wherever.
One of the questions that are always asked when we're showing this to new alliance partners is, all right, so when do I do this?
Right.
First off, this is setting the goal, the expectation of what's going to happen during the renovation. And it's every step, every issue. Anytime something might go wrong, we have already spelled it out. So if it does go wrong, we know how it's going to be dealt with.
Right.
And so what we tell all of our partners, you want to do a client meeting as early as possible. We do an estimate. We start with the desk estimate, which we'll talk about in another podcast. Then we go to an estimate. Then we revise the estimate. When we're revising the site estimate is usually when we start the conversation of what's coming next. Whenever we're talking with the client, we're telling them what's happening next. That we want to close the loop so they can say, okay, I know what's happening next. I don't have to wonder. I don't have to call them. And so we say, okay, next thing that's happening, we love to get you into our office. We love to come and sit down with you and your husband. We love to have a Zoom call and talk through exactly how the process works for my company in this renovation.
And we don't, I say we never, but we try to never just send it to the client.
Correct.
And let them read it or not read it.
No.
It is super important to go through it, set the tone, help them understand, so that because what happens to everybody in the business, I sent that thing to you, and at the end of the job there's a problem issue, and now you're referring back to something that they never read, they never knew there was an expectation, or they were being held accountable for. And you've already set up yourself to have an issue.
It's not only just a sales tool that you can use to really land the client. That's part one of it. But part two of it is, this is how I'm going to act throughout, and I want you to set your expectations to where I can hit every single expectation and make this an enjoyable process.
It's the rules of the game.
They don't want to sit down and do it. They don't want to come spend an hour and a half at our office, and then they walk out of there very happy they did it. Every single time. Every single client is like, okay, we'll come in and meet with you. Don't really know what this is about. We can try to explain it to them. When they leave, they say, thank you very much. And usually we'll have a signature on the quote by the time they're leaving our office.
And side note, Every client that we've gotten them to the place where they've sat down with us and done the CEA, we have a 100% land rate with them.
Yep.
Once they've gotten to that place and we've gone through the CEA with them, every single client has chosen to use us because of what this does for them.
So we require it out of all our project managers to have it completed by the time they're signing the quote and we're starting pre-construction. But we try to get it as early as possible, even though they might not. We might not have a totally finished bid yet. We might still be working on the estimate. Hey, why don't you just come on in? If you're kind of new, have you ever renovated before? This is your first time. Let us sit you down and talk you through exactly what you can expect with the renovation with us. And they are usually, okay, yeah, I'll come and talk to you about that.
Right.
So that's kind of the front end of it, setting the expectation of what it's going to be, how it's going to work. I want to get you in. I want to show you exactly how we operate, what you can expect during the job, and then from there, once you're ready, we can sign the contract and move forward.
Right.
So what the CEA is, we've got them in the room, we've sat them down. To build your CEA, you start with this. You start with exactly who we are, what we do. In the CEA, it's just more of an introductory to the company, and then it goes into everything that is assumed when we start your job, right? So we have a bunch of assumptions in the first section. And so we walk through it and we say, is that true? Yep. Is that true? Yep. Is that true? And so in the assumptions section,
permitted, not permitted, that type of question.
We assume on every single one that the house will be empty when we're renovating. It's going to be an unoccupied property. Now, half the time it's not.
Right.
But we assume that. And so that's a point to have that conversation because and as everyone listening should know, an unoccupied property is quicker and easier to renovate, which ends up meaning it's cheaper than an occupied property.
And if it is occupied, there are some rules that we need to set in place so that everybody knows how to operate. If you're going to be living in a house that is a construction zone, these are the expectations we need to set about that, which is why we have that assumption that it will be unoccupied that leads into that conversation.
Yep. And so when they say, actually, we're going to be there and say, okay, I'm going to cross that out and let's talk through what that means. It's a point to be able to have that discussion, and this is where we're going to talk about it. And it's also a point, like we charge more for occupied, but I already knew you were going to be in there. We're good. We don't have to mark anything up. But you can, at that point, if there's a change from unoccupied to occupied that you didn't know about, you could say, there's a 5% bump because it's extra management. We can't get in there till 8 a.m. when normally my guys start at 6 a.m. We have to leave by 5 p.m. where usually my guys like to work till 9 or 10. So it's costing more resources and more time. I don't think we've ever done that, but you have the opportunity to do that
because you've had the pre-conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of assumptions like that. We've even talked down through the key will be left in the lockbox at all time. If you take the key out and my crew shows up and there's no key there, you are paying a penalty to the crew because you're paying them to stand there instead of working.
Same thing with utilities.
Yep.
The gas, water, electric is going to be on.
Assumptions that you keep utilities on throughout the job. If for some reason the power goes off because of your lack of payment or any other reason, you're approving us to go rent generators and continue working on your house. And so we tell them that, right? So that way, when the power goes out, I'm not sitting here scrambling, renting generators, and the homeowner's like, I'm not paying for that. That's not my fault. Come back tomorrow. Well, we've already had that conversation. You've already approved that extra charge, and we're all on the same page, and you're not upset with me.
Yep.
And usually what happens is they're upset with me, and I got to cover the cost of the generator, so that's a double whammy in terms of what we're trying to do.
But there's also stuff in there after the assumptions and all of that. There's payments.
So, it starts with assumptions. The next section that we go into, I think, is how we do invoicing, right? We invoice once a week. We do it this way. This is how we invoice and why we invoice. We invoice as work's being completed. Only time that you pay for something before it's been completed is for materials or initial pre-con work such as drawings, architectural drawings, or any sort of surveys. So we say, okay, these are the things you'll pay for up front because we're paying for it up front. And so you're paying as we're paying as well. And then this is how we invoice. We invoice once a week, every week, no matter the size of the job. So, and we talk about how the invoice is our checkpoint with the client as this is what we believe has been completed.
Right.
And by invoicing once a week as opposed to going 3-4 weeks, we never get owed too much money on a job. I've never been owed $60,000 that I couldn't collect on because it's happening every single week.
Right.
And you never do $60,000 worth of work.
They're $5, $10, $15,000, not
Yes.
$60,000.
Exactly. So we talk through all that, how that works, why we invoice that
Expectation
way.
on when you receive an invoice, when we expect you to actually give us money.
And at this point, they're saying, I got to cut you a check once a week. Say, no, it's okay. If you'd rather cut us money up front, we can do it once a month, but I need a $30,000 deposit today.
Right.
It's like, no, I don't. I'll do it weekly. That's great, right? Because, but then we also get the commitment. Because we do it this way, I also pay my crews weekly. And so I need your payment when I invoice you on Tuesday. I need your payment Friday. If you can commit to doing this, we will invoice as we go. If you can't commit to pay me by Friday, I need money up front because I got to front a ton of money on your job and all the other jobs we're doing.
Because it's important for me to keep my guys paid because that's a commitment I've put to them.
So during this conversation, I'm setting the expectation that payment very quickly is the most important thing when it comes to invoicing because it's you signing off on the work that's being completed. And if we don't get payment by Friday, that very first Monday, we're pulling guys off and you're paying a fee. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. I never want to do that, but you're going to force me to do that if you don't pay. So let's be very clear about how we get paid. I'm going to send an invoice on Tuesday. You have Wednesday to tell me that it is accurate or inaccurate. Then you have to pay by Friday. Right. If you can do that, I'm fine with invoicing as we go.
Yep.
If you can't do that, then we need a down payment and we need deposits, and you're going to pay ahead of schedule as we're completing the work.
Right.
Every client says, great, I can commit to that because they'd rather hold the money than pay you hoping that you show up. Yep. So that's the invoicing section. I'm not going to go too deep into it.
Next section is about interaction.
Next section is warranty.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes payment, then warranty. And so we talk about, okay, so this is the payment. This is how we warrant our work. This is 1 year. This is what counts as part of our warranty. This is what doesn't count.
Right.
This is what will void a warranty. This is what will cause you extra costs. And we lay all of that out in that section. And then the next section we go into
interaction with crews and project managers.
Well, yeah, it's the expectation section.
Yeah.
I think it's even called expectations.
Yeah.
And it's what we expect of you and what you should expect of us. And so throughout it, it's kind of intermingled between the clients as well as the project manager's expectations of what's going on.
Setting rules for when it's okay to make contact, to make a phone call, to send text messages, so that we can protect our people's time and also protect their time. If the house is on fire, pick up the phone. If it's not, then send an email. Right?
So in that, what Jared's saying is we sit down in this section and say literally to the client, looking them in the face with our project manager sitting next to us, we say, please do not call us after 6 p.m. or on the weekends. I love this project manager. He is a great employee here. And the way I keep him is I keep his wife happy. And I protect his home time and his life outside of this. And this is my life, but this guy, he does this for a living and he needs time off. Right. And so for this project manager, and it's easier to do when you have an employee that you're doing this with.
Right.
But to protect his time, I need you to commit to not calling after 6 or on the weekends. Now, if the house is on fire, literally, pick up the phone and call.
Right.
Send a text because he'll probably read that before he answers a phone call on the weekends.
And as a one-man show, you can still do this.
Yes, you should still do it.
You can, because this business will take every bit of time, and your clients and your crews will take every bit of time that you're willing to give them. And you need to set parameters around that because your family time and your time to take a breath is incredibly valuable. And you can tell the client, it's important for me to take that time because that allows me to be clear-minded and focused on your job when I am in the moment of focusing on your job and working. So I would ask for you to protect that space, and I will do the same for you.
If I was a one man show right now, and you were my client, I'm sitting down walking through this and say, okay, so here's how the contact works. I tried my hardest to dedicate my after 6 p.m. as well as my weekends to my wife and kids. I need time to recharge my batteries, and that's when I do it. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to compartmentalize work from home and give my children the attention that they deserve. And the whole reason I'm doing this job is for them. And so if your house is on fire, call me, text me on Saturday. That's fine. If you're trying to figure out carpet color, shoot me an email and I'll get back to you Monday morning.
Yeah.
Is that fair to ask of you? And every single time when you ask a client, is that fair for me to ask? Every single time they're sitting at this table
100%.
saying, absolutely, you need family. I get that.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward 2 months.
They will cross this line.
They
100%.
will cross the line.
Yeah,
you
for
answer
sure.
the call, and then on Monday say, hey, remember we had discussed this. I'm not going to be answering calls on Saturday. I know, but I had this. But I understand that, and that's why I did answer and took care of it for you. I just wanted to remind you of what we already agreed upon, just because
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry about that.
Yes,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
single
yeah.
time. I mean, because
But because
you've
you
already
had the
talked about it.
pre-conversation, you're not coming across as a jerk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you never said that, you never set the expectation of when they can call you. So they can call you anytime, all the time, because that's what they think they can. That's their expectation.
Yep.
And so by saying, hey, I really don't want to answer calls on the weekend. Well, I signed this agreement thinking I can call you on the weekend. So now you're going back on our agreement, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's again, one of probably 30 things in that list, maybe more.
Things like don't talk to our crews because
said all
of this
that. Yep.
reason. This is why it causes a problem.
Yep.
If you have issues, you have a dedicated person.
Yep.
Like all sorts of stuff that's setting. I love what you always say. If you are playing a game of basketball, it is setting the boundaries. It's putting the out of bounds lines
Yep.
and the 3-point line and the free throw line so that everybody knows the rules of the game.
Yep.
And so that when they step over bounds, which is going to happen, there is a level of accountability that doesn't come across as you're a jerk. It is, hey, this is how we agreed we were going to play this game.
Yep. If in that metaphor, if we started playing basketball and I didn't tell you where out of bounds was, and halfway through playing, I'm like, oh, you're out of bounds. Give me the ball. You'd be like, that's not. I didn't know that was out of bounds. Like, what are you talking about?
Which is, I mean, play that out. Play that through your head of all of the jobs that have gone awry.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
that misunderstood expectation or miscommunicated expectation that causes that type of stuff.
How many contractors have you heard say, my client is just insane? Mm-hmm. They're insane because they have a different expectation than what you expect.
Yeah.
And so when you expect this to happen, they're expecting something else, and it feels insane.
Yeah. Well, and a big piece of where this document came from for us was, one, protecting ourselves and our company and our project managers, but also in the understanding our clients and trying to advocate for them. It was realizing that most of them, this might be the first renovation, probably is one of the largest spends that they've ever had. And their only education on how this goes is HGTV.
Yep.
That's the only thing they know, which is, I mean, it's a TV show. So they come in afraid, this is so much money, I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to screw myself, I don't want to spend more than I have, and this is how it should go because this is how it works perfectly on HGTV. And you've got those expectations put on top of you, which is why if you don't set this up front, you end up saying, and contractors say all the time, my client is nuts.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's because their expectations was set by this other thing and you didn't set it for them and draw the correct boundaries for them so they understand.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. So there's a ton of things in there, and honestly, this list of expectations grew out of every issue we've had with the client. Anytime
Mistakes
a client,
we made, mistakes clients made.
anytime
whatever.
a client said, well, I thought you'd do this, and we're like, why would you think that? Write that down on our list. And so it's a 30, 40 item list of expectations, but we walk through it of exactly, and it's a two-way list. So what you can expect from our project manager is you're going to get a minimum of 2 communications a week. One is going to be an invoice, which is going to be on Tuesdays, and another one is probably going to be an end of the week follow-up. Now, you might get more. You'll get text messages, you'll get phone calls, you'll get a ton of different things, but the minimum you'll ever get is 2 communications.
Right.
Now, we set a bunch of expectations like that we have to meet. That's the second part of this is if I say that, I now have to do that.
Do it. That's right.
Or I'm the one that's breaking the trust. So there's a bunch of stuff in there of what our project managers are going to do for them, when they should expect what. We say we're going to give you a Gantt chart before the job starts, and we're going to keep you updated with an updated Gantt chart weekly if it changes. Again, another commitment that a lot of people can't uphold. If you can uphold, it's a very good thing to offer.
Absolutely.
And so there's a bunch of stuff like that in the expectations list. And then after expectations, it's really kind of a let me introduce you to the office, right? This is who the front office person is. This is what they do.
Here's who you should contact for this and that and this.
This is where you'll get communications from. Now, if you're a one-man show, you probably don't need this section. But for us, the office will be sending you collection emails each week of what is outstanding on your account. If it is incorrect, do not get mad at the front office. They are the messenger.
Right.
Obviously, something got messed up in the software from your project manager invoicing something and not deleting it when he forgot that he shouldn't have done it. Either way, reply all and say, actually, so-and-so said that I didn't have to pay this for 2 weeks because that's when they were going to install X, Y, and Z. And we tell them that. So like, okay, that makes sense. So that's who's going to be sending me emails.
Yep.
That way, it's not some random people from your company emailing the homeowner who they've never met or understood who they were before.
Right. And also the other way around, you as the manager, not the project manager, the manager, you're sitting down in this meeting with the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
Project manager sitting there as well. If there is not clarity of job information, pictures, questions about the job need to go to him, all of a sudden you're in charge. They view you as the guy in charge. So all of a sudden you're getting these text messages with a picture of a random sink or a random floor or whatever that now you have to either send over to your project manager and you become this in-between person, right? So again, drawing the lines of if you have problems that have not been able to be worked out with my project manager, I want to hear that because I want to help work that out.
Yep, that's one of the big ones is saying that, and it says in it, it says, listen, I check on your jobs as the head of renovations, general man, whatever your title is. I am a 30,000-foot view on your job. My project manager is ground level with your job. Yep. So if there's a question or anything else, I'm not going to have an answer for you because he's in it. I check in with him once a week about your job to get a second set of eyes on it. Hey, what about this? Did you do this? And so you got two sets of eyes always on your job, but I don't have the information you're going to be looking for.
Right.
Now, if he is not doing what we're promising in this agreement, I need to hear about it.
Right.
I want to hear about it, and I'm going to sit down and we're going to and make sure that we're all on the same page together.
Right.
But if it's a question about paint colors, I have no answers for you. I can't help you because I'm not on that level with that job. And they understand that. They totally get that. And it allows the separation of my job versus his job and allows him to manage the client and the job.
Well, and I think it's incredibly important to have a document like this, whether you sign on as a executive member with us and we give you ours and customize it, or you create one for yourself. And I the reason that I would put in to back that up is if you look at the clients and what they see as they look into the general contractor world, they're afraid of getting screwed. By being taken advantage of because they don't understand, they don't know what it takes, and this industry has a reputation of taking advantage of people, charging too much money,
fly by night,
all the different
change
stuff.
order efforts done.
So even if there was a reference, somebody said, "Hey, go use ProServer," or whatever, there's still that little standoffish. Can I trust this company? But by going in and spelling out this document touches on so many pieces of, I can relax on that because I have a process that they've spelled out for me, so I don't have to worry about that. I know that they're not going to overcharge me because of the way that they invoice, and they invoice only up to what they've completed. And it creates a level of trust and comfort that allows for a job to go smoothly. And it allows, when there are bumps in the road, there is something to point back to and say, hey, remember we talked about this. But it gives you, again, I think I said it in one of our last podcasts, it gives you the benefit of the doubt. Because you're leading with your foot forward of, I am fighting for you, Mr. Client, to do the best by you and be the best company that I can by having these set expectations of how we're going to operate, what we're going to deliver for you. And people respect that and they appreciate it and they gravitate towards it and they can trust it. And so by nature of just doing this and having a document, your sales level goes up and your stress level will go down.
That's why it's a cheat code, because it's a two-sided coin. Not only does it make your clients love working with you more.
Yeah.
It also makes your job easy because you're not having to go 7 days a week to the job site if you don't need to, because you've already told them you're not going to.
Yeah.
And it also, you're not the bad guy anymore. This document is the rules that you already set, like the basketball.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, hey, that's out of bounds. No, it's not. Well, you never told me that before. I'm saying, hey, that's out of bounds. And like, oh, you're right. That is. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Well, I mean, as contractors listening to this, think back to your last 10 jobs.
Yeah.
How many of those did you have arguments or frustrations with your client that were legit, or if this had been done in the front would have never been an issue?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like that.
How many of them would you say, man, they just had too high of expectations?
Uh-huh.
That's your fault.
Uh-huh.
Your fault. You were supposed to set their expectations.
That's right.
You are the professional here, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever I hear that, like, well, they just expect too much. What? You didn't set their expectations, so that's a miss on you, right?
Yeah. So it's a cheat code.
Yep.
It really is. We implemented it many, many, many years ago, and it has been incredibly successful and valuable.
Our last year we did a 2-day seminar in Dallas, Texas, and one of the guys that just started with us, I'm not going to name him, but he had been with us for 2 weeks, and we had done the onboarding and gave him this and walked him through this, and he had done it with a couple clients already before we actually got to the 2-day, and he stood up in the middle of the 2-day. Brazilian guy, strong accent.
And this guy, he had just gotten his master's from Harvard or something.
No, he got accepted to Harvard.
Right. That's right.
And decided he didn't know what he was going to do with his company. And he decided instead of going to Harvard, he was going to double down with ProServe and grow his company.
Yep.
Literally, I mean, hand to God, that's what he said in the group. And then he stood up and he said, this client engagement agreement is worth $10,000 by itself.
Yeah.
I would pay you $10,000 for this alone. Mm-hmm. I don't care about anything else you're doing. Yeah. If it was just this, I'd pay you $10,000.
Anybody want to send me $10,000?
Yeah, and we're like, interesting. Okay, I guess we will start selling this. But no, it's part of the membership.
It's just super valuable. Yeah. Everybody that we've ever walked through this thing, kind of they go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Well, because you're relating to every single client you've had that has these issues on their job. And if I would have just told them this thing, that would have never happened, and I'd have $8,000 more profit on that job because of it. Right. So
well, and if you're interested in that, you can go to ProServerAlliance.com. You sign up for the executive level, and that is a part of that. You get all of our paperwork. It's all custom with your company logo and your information so that you can use it. Our subcontractor agreement actually works hand in hand with the CEA agreement. So what you're agreeing to your client, also your subs are agreeing to the same level of that. So there's tons of that stuff. You can go there. If you're just interested in the software and want to start at that place, same place, ProServerAlliance.com. You can go in there and sign up for the software.
And I will tell you, if you're starting out, if you're a young guy or an old guy starting as a general contractor, trying to get your company off the ground, or you've been doing it for 10 years and you're just trying to get to the next level and you're really ready to buckle down, contact us. Yeah. We'll work with you. We're not so stringent to where we know if we can work with you and you take this seriously and you give it the effort, you're going to get there. We're not concerned about making money today. Yep. We have to make a living.
Of course.
But for us, it's the long-term investment in each other to where contact us. We can talk you through some stuff, give you some helpful stuff, get you to a level and customize a plan for you in terms of partnership to where it grows with you. For us, again, it's the long-term partnerships with companies that we're looking for to where we can help you grow to the next level. And if we can do that, hopefully you can give us some money for doing that. Right? If we can make you a ton of money, are we worth a little bit of money? Yeah. And let us prove that to you. So that's kind of my pitch to anybody. It's not
your soapbox. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, you go on and think I can't afford this. You can. Well, give us a call. We can work with you on something. So.
That's right.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We will see you guys next week.
Use your cheat code.